Mr. Speaker, I begin with an urgent constitutional public service announcement based on millions of calls and messages that have been flooding Congress. There is a serial constitutional violator at large right now in the District of Columbia, whose overall project to dismantle our Constitution and rule of law is now the target or subject of at least a dozen different federal court temporary restraining orders and preliminary injunctions across the land, and also faces emergency civil actions in dozens of other courts and jurisdictions. The suspect has been described as a very evil individual by Steve Bannon and has been operating in clandestine fashion with a night crew of computer hacking juvenile associates, one of whom goes by the alias of Big Balls, and another one they call The Kid, who has been known to post racist and anti-Semitic provocations online. The accelerating spree of constitutional offenses alarming the nation involves dozens of episodes of computer fraud and data theft affecting potentially 300 million Americans and escalating threats against congressionally created federal agencies serving the people, from NIH to the National Weather Service to NOAA to the Department of Justice, public workers, teachers and students, prosecutors of cop-assaulting criminals and seditious conspirators against our government, FBI agents, and anyone who depends on Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, or any other computerized public payment system. The apparent ringleader of all the constitutional mayhem is a reported father of 12, a formerly deportable undocumented immigrant who worked illegally in the country and is apparently part of a loose network of Silicon Valley billionaires who oppose American constitutional democracy and openly favor creation of a monarchical techno-state under their control. The suspect was seen yesterday in the vicinity of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue Northwest and is known to have been consorting as recently as a few days ago with a convicted felon from New York. Described as the richest person in the world, the suspect is both a government contractor with billions of dollars in defense contracts, and we learned yesterday $400 million slated from the State Department for some of his armored Tesla vehicles. And also, he is a part-time government worker whose many taxpayer-supported businesses are being investigated, fined, or sued by numerous federal agencies, including the Department of Transportation, the National Labor Relations Board, the Department of Justice, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and the Securities and Exchange Commission. The suspect has allegedly been working to seize control over several of these same agencies to shut them down, which would presumably terminate all of the relevant threatening investigations. The public has never received from the suspect any ethics disclosure forms required of all federal workers, nor any conflict of interest waiver to resolve his glaring conflicts of interest. The suspect spent his formative years in apartheid South Africa and has been known to post racist and anti-Semitic material and to engage in a Nazi salute in public. Steve Bannon calls him a truly evil individual. The ringleader and his associates, sometimes called the Muscovites, have been seen by numerous federal workers violating the separation of powers and the spending clause, usurping the powers of this body, trampling the civil service laws, and violating the rights of both his federal and corporate workers. The suspect, his sponsors, and accomplices should be considered dangerous to the constitutional rights, freedoms, and institutions of the people, as well as their property, their jobs, and their livelihoods. If you know anything about the situation and you're a Republican member, please get in touch immediately with the Democrats so we can form a majority to stop this unprecedented attack on the Constitution and American law and order before we end up like apartheid South Africa or Orban's Hungary or Putin's Russia.